Hi, it's Jonny from Fibrenews. Firstly, thank you very much for tuning in. In this episode, I'm joined by Mark Pillow, MD of VoIP Unlimited, and Paul Gibbs, who's the sales director. Although Fibrenews, it does say on the tin, we talk about fibre and broadband. In this episode, we do speak a lot about their voice products and voice in general and the B2B reseller channel. Our audience is pretty much 60% B2B reseller MSP focus, so it makes sense for us to talk about other products as well, although of course we do talk about connectivity. So really hope you enjoy this episode. VoIP Unlimited, their details will be in the body of the description. But before we get into the episode, I just want to talk to you about our Fibrenews directory. This is a centralized listing platform which brings all suppliers, wholesalers, hardware distributors, billing vendors, software, value adds, anything to do with telco or broadband from a wholesaler or a supplier perspective is found within this platform. So if you're trying to look for a new VoIP supplier, you can go there. If you need a new wholesale connectivity supplier, just filter through and find those suppliers in one centralized place. It is brand new. It launched on the 1st of December. So we're constantly adding new suppliers into the directory. It's completely free to be added into the directory, although we do have a paid version where you'll be verified and you get access to your page to add lots of images and bespoke it and add a contact to that person. So just reach out. It's really, really affordable. Just reach out to jray@fibrenews.co.uk. I really hope you enjoy this episode. Thank you again for watching. So, thank you for coming on the podcast. I think this is a good opportunity for me and my audience to get a better understanding of VoIP Unlimited. So, I purposely have half a limited knowledge of you guys, so I'm going to ask you some questions around your products today.
Okay.
And I know VoIP Unlimited as a brand will seem very voice heavy, but as I found out, you're a bit more than just a VoIP supplier. So that's what we're going to get into throughout the episode. But a good place to start off with an introduction into VoIP Unlimited as a brand, and if you can give us a brief history of why it was created and how it got to the position where it is today.
Okay, cool. So back in 2006, I set up VoIP Unlimited, and it started off the back of having opportunity and not really finding a provider out there that could satisfy the opportunity. So I ran an IT company, and we were looking around. We had estate agents that had sort of 12 locations, and we were trying to. Their problem was whenever there was someone in the shop talking to a member of the public about a property or something, and the phone rang, no one would pick up the phone. So they wanted to have effectively all the estate agents in effectively a group, and then one of the other estate agents in another branch could pick up the phone and satisfy the customer on the phone. So that's where this kicked off from, and we sort of looked around the market, couldn't really find anything, and we sort of started building platforms accordingly. Enter stage left, Mr. Gibbs.
Yes. Hello. I think that was, I think you, to an extent, I think there was two challenges. I think we've talked about this before, but, the VoIP Unlimited brand, what were they? The perception out in the channel of what were they? Were they a direct business?
They have a perception in the channel of that.
Yeah, I kind of think that was the big thing, but that was the great challenge for me because I actually saw the VoIP Unlimited portal at a margin event up in Birmingham. I've made that sound. Yeah, where was it? Forest of Arden.
That's
there
it.
You go. That sounds sexy, doesn't it? Forest of Arden.
Yeah.
At the margin event, and I was actually shown through the portal. I was really impressed by it because it was quite a sort of niche position that we own and run our own network, and that was the key driver for me because I think that having seen it then and seen the product that served all the product set. It was a bit of a no-brainer for me. I thought this could fly, and I think that's where we really started to ramp up our brand awareness in the wholesale channel, and the fact that we went and started speaking to resellers about what we got, because it's a very common theme. We get told, "I didn't know you did that. I didn't know I could buy that from you," and so it's a bit like I did with you. You had one theme about what we were back probably 14 months ago, and I think it's just commonplace. We've spent sort of the last sort of 15 months going out there and sort of flying the flag around what we can do and what we can deliver.
So the reason how I come across you guys was through, I've got a couple of pals who own what you call reseller based businesses, and then
And they started using your services, and then the gossip started to spread. So what is it that's pulling the resellers in to VoIP Unlimited?
I think it's our charm and panache, to be honest.
I doubt that.
No, I don't. It's not that. It's not that. It's definitely not that. I think it's because for a long time the channel has been served by perhaps the norm.
Yeah.
You know, and people were like, were quite habitual actually, because it had been that way for so long. So it was about almost being a bit disruptive, making a change. Not everyone likes change, so it takes a long time sometimes to get people to have a look and make that change. But also to get people to understand that we don't just sell hosted voice, because I think that probably a bit of a headache about my past career is people's perception was, we just do the Vox One product.
Yeah.
When actually we do a whole set of products that people can come onto one portal and go on and select. And so we get a lot of business by sort of people's curiosity or nosiness. They go into the different bits of the portal and they're like, oh, I didn't know you did that.
Yeah.
And they can just procure it sort of very quickly.
Okay. I think we should touch on what you called the Vox One product. So this is obviously Fibrenews, but 60% of our audience are channel based. So for them, they're going to have an interest into voice and connectivity. So Vox One, again, I heard about you guys, heard all the gossip, and then ended up attending one of your events with my consultancy hat on, should we say, and I got to see a bit of an overview of the voice product and some clever features that you've recently rolled out. So it's hard to give an overview of a voice product, isn't it? You can't really do that on voice, so I'm actually going to retract that question. Why are resellers migrating from other hosted suppliers to use the Vox One product? I think that's your anchor, right? That's what brings these resellers in. And
that is, and I think it's probably worth mentioning at this point that we don't just have. Sorry, I'm just putting my drink down there. We don't just have one voice product. I think we had, you built a product beforehand that had thousands of users on it. We've got the Landline Plus product, which we'll talk a bit about if you'll entertain us to do that. But I think the Vox One product. Why are they sort of migrating over to us? It's $1 million question, isn't it? I think it's a bit about timing. I think it's timing in the channel. So I think that some of our competitors are perhaps struggling a little bit with what they're doing and differentiation. And I think that where we're being a bit different with what we do with the product, how we sell it, what we integrate with the product, and the sort of subset of products that you can embed in that. So it's namely sort of things like FMC. I think it does allow us to be a bit different. And I think, being commercially competitive as well. That's
what I was pretty much trying to make you to say.
Yeah,
Right,
why didn't you say it then?
We've got to be bold here, right? So I think there's a huge point. Anyone trying to break into the channel, you can have a ton of USPs, but unless it's 10 million miles apart from something they've already seen, it's going to be hard for them to sway. Yeah. I think you have to be aggressively priced in order to really make a dent and scale as quickly as you guys have. So I will.
Yeah, which
product's got a match. There's no doubt about that, and you've managed to do that, right?
Yeah, so I think we've got a different product, and getting the product to be commercially on par with what was out there, but actually ahead of as well. I think it's because of what we roll into the license. But I think a lot of our perhaps competitors are. We're starting to see people starting to put their price up on things like lifetime license maintenance and all that, and that only.
Do you do lifetimes?
No.
Are you the creator of Lifetimes?
No, I wasn't. I was there at the very start. I can't say that I was. It's probably my good friend John Hall that created Lifetime licenses behind the desk with probably Andrew actually. But yeah, it was. No, do you know what? It was a thing that we then did another business I was at, and they were at the time incredibly popular because commercially.
It was nuts.
After you'd washed out the license cost, you were then back down to paying the maintenance, and that was great. Whereas the commercials we've got now for a monthly recurring are pretty much on par with what you'd be paying for lifetime license maintenance. So it's kind of a win-win really for us, because I think that lifetime license enable people to lease the licenses, but I think you can do that now by taking the license fee out and leasing the hardware and doing it in a sort of blended fashion.
Do you think there's a bit of a risk in the whole leasing world at the moment after that BBC article got released?
No, I think they've got their challenges in the fact that they sort of had a bit of a bombshell, didn't they, a few weeks ago, where they had to declare, like you do when you go to a mortgage broker, they're now having to declare what they make on a lease over the term.
Because you see that happened in the energy side, right? In the business energy, now at the bottom, whenever you do a commercial energy contract, it says how much your commission is at the bottom.
Yeah.
I think, right, here's my 2 pence.
Go on.
So we see it, you know, like we've seen like with PPI, and we've seen with car finance, and we've kind of seen it in energy where it almost felt like the customer was slightly being shafted. Hands up, I think leasing is absolutely acceptable. And I think anyone that's a startup business or any business whatsoever, in order to generate cash, leasing needs to be at the forefront of their mind.
Yeah.
But I also have seen so many small businesses that have been completely shafted and being sold 500%, uplift with a 7-year contract. And I don't agree with that. And I've been vocal about that. And
I'd just like to say, nor do I. I think it's an absolute atrocity that that people can get away with it for as long as it's been out there in the market.
It's rough, right?
It has its place.
It does have its 100%.
And I think as long as it's fair and as long as it's regulated properly, I think great. But I think that the edges have effectively frayed a bit and sort of expanded into areas it shouldn't be really.
Exactly that. And then I think now a certain few brands have kind of have affected the whole industry, where I think there is going to be, like we've seen in energy, where you can go and claim back all of that, and like you've seen in car finance, I think there's going to be a huge rush over the next 5 years, and there's going to be lawyers out there saying, fucking happy days, we'll represent you if we can get you your claim back.
I think for a startup reseller, and in fact any reseller on their journey, if you balance it and have recurring and a leasing, it's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not a bad thing, but I think it's like anything, isn't it? It's when the few ruin it for the many.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're seeing.
Yeah.
And have been seeing for the last however many years.
So then you said you had 2 voice products. I'm just jumping back a little bit here. So how does that work? You said, so we just spoke about Vox One there, but what's the other voice products you're talking about?
So UCaaS products. We've got 2 voice UCaaS products. One's VoIP Exchange, and the other one is Vox One. So the other product is effectively probably the original product we kicked off with, that's evolved quite a lot, and it's effectively a basic UCaaS platform. Handsets on desks, does the basic sort of tick box exercise sort of thing.
I got you. And so was that the product that you originally built?
Yeah, it's a bit like Trigger's broom. So yeah, it probably is. It's got the same name. How about that?
That makes sense. Okay.
Hi, just a really quick one from me. I want to talk about this episode's sponsor, which is CoSoft. CoSoft are a software development house who have extensive experience and focus on the telecom and broadband sector. These guys can build availability checks on your website. These guys can build wholesale portals. They can do integrations into your CRM from your billing system. They have experience and come from the industry. So instead of choosing a marketing agency that's going to bill you an extensive amount per hour and not really get what you're talking about when it comes to the telecom jargon, these guys are kind of the complete opposite. They get the telecom jargon and they're affordable. So that's CoSoft. I'll leave the details in the body of this description. Now back to the episode.
So then that leads me on to a part I wanted to talk about, by having access to your own developers, which I think's a very large USP for you guys. I think resellers who have been with suppliers for many, many moons, some of those big brands that are out there that do all of the products under one roof, can sometimes feel like they're not being completely looked after. And when they have suggestions of certain features that might want to be added, or they want certain elements added to the portal, things like that, that suggestion would just get thrown in the box. Whereas I think you guys have a bit more personability and a bit more say when it comes to things being added or things being changed. I don't ask you a question then, I just blew smoke up your ass. But
I think thanks very much. No, I think you're right in the fact that it's probably one of our strengths is the fact that we're not the biggest business. right? There's not hundreds or thousands of us, but where we play very strongly is sort of listening to our resellers and what they'd like to be put into the portal, and I think where we're quite technically led, apart from me. I say that all the time, don't I? Apart from me, we're very technically led because Mark will just go off and create. If I come in and sort of say, "Oh, this would be good if we did this, and this," quite often he's come into the office the next day and gone, "Didn't sleep much last night, but I've got this now," which is quite good. Quite like that.
Now go sell it.
Yeah. Now go sell it. Yeah.
Have you got any examples of where your in-house development have come to your rescue, or your in-house development have give you a leg up against competition?
Well, Paul came to me with a problem on an Avaya platform, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you want to tell the rest of the story?
Yeah. So one of our resellers came to us and he sort of said that I want to deploy SIP channels into this. It's not even new, but an Avaya product. But I need it to be delivered in a certain way. I need it to be billed in a certain way. So we have a few SIP servers. So Mark spun one up overnight, and we could deliver that service. And it was quite intricate and quite hard to do in the fact that the way they wanted it, like watermarked and billed. You know, if you hit X amount of channels, that's the lowest watermark, and then you can burst it up to this many in any 1 month because it was a huge call center, right? So it was thousands of SIP channels. So we had a sort of lowest watermark, and then you sort of built that overnight. I was quite impressed with that.
Who's your SIP supplier?
We do it ourselves.
Oh,
One of our points of differentiation, Johnny.
When Paul says we have a few servers, we run about 700 servers.
Yeah, well, that's me being in sales, isn't it? Yeah, we've got a few of them.
Okay, I've got two questions down then. So first of all, so you've got 700 servers, and that what, all for SIP, or that's for the whole?
No,
business
for the whole business. So we're effectively an ISP as well. So we run big sort of fridge-sized Cisco routers, etc. And we've got suites in data centers. So we run on our own tin. We run our own session border controllers and clusters, and we run our own. So we've got various SIP products. So we've got SIP trunking products. We've got 2 SIP network, 3 SIP products, which registration platform based. We've got an historical platform, and we've got an IP based platform as well, which means that people can come to us, all provisioned on the portal. So if you want to go from an IP based authentication to a registration based, you literally log into the portal, delete one, enter another one, move the number over, off you go, up and running in 20 seconds.
What's the benefit of being your own SIP supplier? And at what point did you make that decision? Because have you got to be doing a certain amount of minutes for it to be cost effective to the business to make that move? And then I assume there's got to be engineers in the background and all the rest.
Yeah, I mean, we run a voice development team. It's about agility at the end of the day. We can be agile. If someone came to us with an opportunity, we can look at it and go, well, actually, we'll build this for you, we'll build that for you. And obviously when someone comes with the opportunity, other people want that product as well. So we can develop and we can effectively do whatever we feel as a business we need to do.
I think from my point of view, it's because we run our own SIP, we don't have to plug it into carriers and stuff like that. So when you do our UCAS platform, you can select numbers, and it's all underpinned by our SIP channels. So we run all our own numbers, so we're not accountable to anyone, if that makes sense. We do it all ourselves, and that adds some again a good point of differentiation.
Okay, so if you're your own SIP supplier and you're your own hosted voice supplier, how long does it take you to provision up a tenant?
As fast as you can type.
It's instant.
Yep.
Very good. There we go.
Yeah.
Thought you were going to answer that question wrong there. You've done very, very well. Okay, that's spot on. And that's all done within your in-house portal.
Correct.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can spin up an instance at 3 o'clock in the morning, allocate numbers, provision everything out, bang, done, go back to bed.
And then, now we're going to get slightly technical, I guess, but not very, because neither me or Paul are. What are the API capabilities like? And I only say that because there's lots of businesses now that operate within that SOHO space, and some of the younger generation are relying heavily on digital lead generation, but not just lead generation, also full sales cycles, i.e. customer coming on the website saying, I want 2 users, I want a landline number in this area, here's my details, they're filling out an online contact form. Could you essentially, once that order was complete, send through a provisioning request API to spin up a tenant, and then a techie reseller could then send them details back to the customer, and it's a no hands-on full provisioning service.
Technical answer?
No. Yeah.
Yes. Is the answer.
I'm so pleased you went with yes and not the full technical answer.
Do you think you're more techie-led as a wholesale provider because of the way you got into the market being MSP and IT companies first? Were they asking more from you from the beginning?
I think so, yeah. Because if you look from an IT company back at the telecoms industry is quite odd.
Yes.
It's quite the way that porting works, for example, is bizarre.
Correct.
And from trying to explain this to some of the IT companies is a bit weird. I mean, they just treat it like DNS, where it's instantaneous, but obviously number propagation isn't, etc.
Yeah.
So I think from coming from that into the IT space and then trying to drag the telecoms industry sort of towards the IT arena is interesting. I think that gives us our background, sort of our momentum.
And then for those, this might be a stupid question, for those techie resellers that are heavily reliant on APIs nowadays, is that all just available for them if they get access to the portal? Is it like called REST API?
We have APIs available, but it's if literally ask, and then we can either take an API, we can adapt it, or we can give you a specific API, or we can give you an API set, whatever. Basically, I run a fantastic dev team, so hands up to my development manager and all my developers, because they're all hard down there. Building sort of platforms and everything else, testing, etc. And some things obviously go to plan, some things don't. And Paul wants products out the door straight away, don't you, Paul?
Yep. A little bit impatient. Yeah.
Are you voice only, or do you do a hardware bundle as well?
No, so we're voice only. So yeah, but it was interesting question actually, Jonny, because we've got a lot of APIs built into hardware suppliers. So when our customers go and procure a set of handsets, for instance, all of the MAC addresses will be on our portal straight away. So they can literally build that tenant as it's happening.
Are you seeing less handset orders and more desktop mobile app only? Or are we anywhere near that transition yet?
Oh, it's a real good question. We're finding some differences in the fact that obviously with COVID, everyone went towards Teams applications and sort of fragmented video applications, so they could communicate with each other without having to sort of spend a fortune overnight. But no, I think the handsets have still got their place. Some businesses are just used to it, and I think that a lot of what we see with handsets is perhaps habitual. As human beings, we're used to that thing ringing on the desk. We pick it up and we talk to that person. When actually, I don't know whether I'm the norm for but I just use my mobile.
Yeah,
I'm terrible. A desk phone, you could take. There's probably no point in me having a desk phone because I use soft client and mobile client. But when if I phone Mark, I'll generally phone him on my mobile to his mobile, and I'll do the same to Stuart. And it drives everyone mad because they're like, just phone me on the client.
You're an ideal use case for our FMC product, then,
I am, yeah. I am. Yeah.
Talk us through it.
Oh, you go.
So our FMC product's about to be released. It's a mobile SIM, basically. So it's a mobile number. Looks completely normal from the outside world, and it effectively flows through the UCAS product. It has you can have time of day routing on it. So obviously, if a member of staff's not available after 5:30, it can go to voicemail. Also, if your member of staff's on holiday, it can go to colleagues. So, hi, I'm on holiday. Yeah, put you through to a hunt group or whatever. Yeah. Call recording. All calls can be recorded in and out. You've obviously got full stats on the calls, so you can see when people are on the phone, and live presence information.
Interesting.
So, if you're talking on your mobile, on the wallboard, it can see that Paul is on his mobile.
And you don't lose that number if they exit the business.
Yeah,
that's your mobile number. That's the key for me. Is the fact that we've seen it before when people move around, they take their mobile number with them, and guess what? It's a real big challenge to get people to not call that number.
Recruitment companies will lap that up. If you ever look at any recruitment firm, 99% of activity is done on their mobile and done over WhatsApp.
Yeah.
So if they can have some sort of security behind them that once that agent's left and that number's not going with them, you absolutely have it off.
Full stats and everything goes into the CRM system.
So what network is it on? How does it work?
It's on EE.
Oh, happy days. Okay, fine. Yeah. And it's a physical SIM?
No, it could be eSIM. So the point is to provision. So my my thought behind this is a member of staff comes in with their own physical handset, because it's frustrating buying a member of staff a handset just specifically for this job, and they want obviously the biggest and the best. Member of staff comes in with their own handset, and then you can provision eSIM onto that handset, and the platform will pick up. So anyone that runs a second SIM on their phone knows that you can select the contact and which SIM to use. So effectively, the business use from that point of view.
That's mint. And when's that live?
Probably Q1 next year. It's
Okay.
currently in beta at the moment. Dev team are just actually conversation on the way down here. Dev team are just basically putting it into the portal for activation, and then we should be ready Q1.
So then, if it's an eSIM, is that similar process? Someone orders it on the platform and it's kind of instantly active, or have you got to wait for something on EE side to say, "Hi, we're ready"?
The initial beta is going to be released as a manual provision for the minute, so we can basically provision eSIM. But the plan is go into the portal, basically order it. QR code comes up. Obviously, it can be emailed out to you, text out to you, whatever it was. Scan the QR code, bang, eSIM's provisioned, off you go. So as usual, we don't want to post stuff. We just want to make it as easy, as simple as possible. And as I'm very impatient, I want it to happen now.
Like it, okay. Next part then for me is AI. So we're seeing obviously it's in conversation everywhere, but we've got some larger direct vendors out there. I don't think AI has really come to the channel yet, not properly.
Not really. It's come through some of their sort of call centre applications and stuff like that.
You see it in some UCAS places where you're paying £50 a seat. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't think the everyday resellers had a chance to play around with it, and I could be wrong. But
I think the problem is that everyone wants AI.
Yeah.
They just don't know why.
Correct. Yeah.
I want it to rewrite most of my content that I put out there because it makes my life.
Everybody does.
Because everyone just perceives AI to be ChatGPT, don't they?
Yeah.
It's that, that does that. That's brilliant. But it's so much more, I think.
So are you guys looking into AI, and are you looking to...
We're more than looking into it. I think. Do you want me to go on this one, or do you want to do it?
I think you can do it. I think Jonny saw one of our AI products at our recent event.
Yeah, you saw the AI agent product, which is it's really, I see two use cases for it. One, you embed it on your website, and that it scrapes all the information off your website and can deliver that back to the end user. So if you're a travel company, for instance, you're looking to book a holiday, yes I am, and you can literally chat to that AI agent without the need for anyone on the phone.
So what do you mean by the scraping part, though?
So it goes on, so that it'll go onto their website, it'll take all their information from their website. They call it scraping the website, scraping the URL, and that basically goes into that AI engine.
Oh, to train it.
To train it. That's
I see what you're saying.
So it gives it all the information, and you can actually feed it more information. So AI, we've got sort of two agents. We've got AI Paul that is on the website, which alarms me every time I look at it.
It sounds like Paul as well. Paul had to read 7 minutes worth of.
It was like 7 minutes.
And then it clones your voice.
And it cloned
my voice. It's
nice.
terrifying.
And where's that voice being used? So,
well, I'm hoping in a lot of deep fake videos. Fingers crossed. No, I absolutely don't want that. So the voice is being used on AI Paul. So when you go onto our website, you can engage with AI Paul, and he'll tell you all about VoIP Unlimited and what we do and how we do it. So
someone's typing to so AI Paul is like a little figurine of you on your website.
Correct.
On the live chat facility.
You talk to it.
It's not even live chat. So we've got two flavours. So you go on and you can chat to AI Paul by clicking the button. He'll appear, and you can literally talk to him or put some text in.
I always see what you're saying.
And he will chat to you. You can say...
use your mic on your laptop.
Yeah.
Just
talk, you can say,
conversation.
Tell me more about... so I did it with my headset. You can say, tell me more about VoIP Unlimited.
Nice.
We've also got AI Verity that is going to be on our portal, and AI Verity will be used for things like postcode checking for connectivity. So instead of having to put all the gubbins into the portal, the postcode, etc., AI Verity will say, "What would you like to check?" And you say, "I'd like to check this postcode for availability for connectivity." She will then bring up the options. You tell her the speed that you want, and she will then give you the commercials.
And this is open to resellers.
Only open to it's through the portal, right?
Yeah.
So AI Verity essentially could be then used as a reseller if they wanted a front end availability check for their customers.
Yes, it could, but they need to do some background work to do that. Yeah, so it's not as easy as just take it from us and it'll do the checking through us.
Yeah.
the product set's there just to give examples of what can be done, because obviously everyone has their own use case. I think you mentioned doctor surgeries.
Yeah.
And fantastic use case for it.
Yeah.
To get rid of the not get rid of the receptionist, but complement the receptionist.
You can train it to be really angry as well, so it's sort of very well suited to receptionists. Yeah, doctor surgery is really nasty to you when you phone up at 8:30.
So it is. So it's also plugged into the hosted platform.
Yeah.
So it can be used. So on the end of an extension, I can assign AI Verity, can I? And then
that's the other use case for it, and this is probably the one that I see the biggest opportunity with. So like a support agent. So if your support queue is overrun, let's say you've got 5 people in that, and you get a 6th call, the 6th call can go to your AI agent, who is trained and integrated with your ticketing system.
Yeah.
So they can go on, say, raise a broadband fault. They can then walk them through that ticket, raise the ticket, go off and do it. So any out of hours can be done, and it's about the third of the cost of an actual human being. So,
and is there ready to go native integrations into ticketing systems, or has each reseller got a faff about?
No, there's native integrations ready to go. You just have to tell them which one you want to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, this is very, very interesting.
Yeah, so that's.
What about outbound, or is there a law there where we can't?
No, you can do it outbound as well. Obviously, the way it's billed is all done through the minutes that you use. Mm-hmm. So be that inbound or outbound. So you've probably seen it on. Yeah, we've all seen it on LinkedIn. Some of the stuff done with outbound. This is. It was started as inbound, but you can do outbound as well.
You can get outbound to book your haircut, can't you nowadays?
Well, I don't know, can you? What? You keep bringing it up. I'm fine about it. But yeah, even things like there was an AI agent that ran for the Conservative Party at Brighton and Hove. No, was it Brighton and Hove?
Brighton and Hove.
Or Hove.
Or was it Independent? I can't remember.
Yeah, but basically, instead of putting they ran for local MP as an AI agent, because do you know why they did it? They can deal with
2,500 concurrent.
2,500 questions about when the wheelie bins are going to get taken, and how often and stuff like that. Whereas they can only deal with one constituent at a time if you're a human. Yeah. So that's the sort of that's the sort of use case, and then the sort of other AI product I suppose we've got, and this is probably the one that we're doing the most with at the moment, because even that's quite sort of still a bit edge case really, a bit cutting edge. But the music on hold stuff we're doing with AI is that's sort of going off at the moment. It's really we're doing a lot of things with a lot of resellers on the AI music on hold.
What's that then?
Okay,
I can guess.
Well, so again, scrapes the end user's website.
Yeah.
Gets all the information and builds you an on-hold message. So you're through to ABC Taxis. Press 1. Yeah, you can do that.
Could you choose different voices?
You can choose different voices.
You edit the text live there and then after.
Yeah, absolutely. You can do that, and you can do your advertising messages whilst they're on hold. You can do your IVR messages. So you can build them all, as many moves, adds, and changes as you want for one monthly recurring fee. So it's per customer per month. It gives the ability to the end user to do it all. And why is that sort of... I don't know whether it's because of the time of year, but we're seeing a bit of a march towards this, because you speak to a lot of resellers and they're like, oh, Christmas is coming up.
Yeah, 100%.
What's happening at Christmas? They say, our engineering teams just get overrun with, can you make a change to our music on hold message or our outbound message? Yeah, I can do, but they leave it right to the last minute and then probably get charged 150 quid for the pleasure. Yeah. This gives the power to the end user. Everyone can run it. And where we're seeing resellers really succeed is when they're doing some sort of opt-out campaigns. So they're doing, we saw one of our, some web statistics in the market a couple of 3 years ago. And now we're seeing this with the music on hold, because the end user just wants the headache to go away.
Yeah.
So for a small fee every month, they can do it all themselves, make the changes, and then just give it back to the resellers. Can you upload this as our new message, please?
So you're on about, say, the reseller can do a email campaign out to their whole customer base saying, hi, we've added this feature onto your monthly bill, and that's now been added to your telephone system. Here's your login details. Please go off and play. Yep. Please let us know if you don't want this service, because you're going to be starting to be billed.
Yeah, they get a 30-day free trial. You get billed after that, and it's really going down well, because if you've got 100 customers, I put something on my LinkedIn about it yesterday or the day before. And, we had a customer that did it with 1,200 clients. They've got 1,200 customers on their books. They had 4 opt-outs.
Yeah, nuts.
They were making $5,000 plus a month margin.
Yeah, nuts.
For doing an opt-out.
Interesting. Okay, very interesting. And that's the bit that takes my focus the most is the variety and like the AI voice, because I think we're just kind of touching the surface on this stuff.
We are.
I think like anything, like when VoIP first came out, you had those jittery calls. I think we're there on the AI side where, we've still got, no matter what platform or what solution you use, you've got that short delay. And as AI progresses, that's going to get shorter and shorter. And I think the voice already is pretty much unrecognizable. When you clone a voice and you speak into it, the only reason it wouldn't be is if you haven't trained it enough. You can just train it more. But I think it's nuts. And I think we are going to get to that point where you're more technical than I am. It pretty comes down to server space and computing power. But,
it's a massive conversation though, isn't it? Because at what time do you tell it to stop?
Yeah, 100%. And it's a good opener, right, for the actual reseller themselves. There's only so many times you can call up a customer and say, hi, do you want to come and see this new feature? It's an IVR button. Like, oh, great, cheers. You need these, calling up one of your existing customers and saying, right, AI, massive talking.
Just get an AI bot to call them up.
Yeah, exactly that. This call is AI based.
Yeah.
Would you like to find out more?
Yeah.
It's exciting. It gives that reseller more to go out with and try and differentiate themselves from
100%.
whatever else they're selling. So it's exciting.
And it's probably, it gives them the opportunity to build back in some margin that perhaps they've lost through commoditisation, because you look at things like connectivity and all of that, they're probably, losing revenue on that side of their business. So to backfill it with some more perhaps perceived to be niche services now, it can be quite easy.
Interesting. Okay. So another element for me, now we're trying to move a bit more into the fibre side. So I see this as a fibre product, but I know at the moment it's being used mainly within the Soho space, is your landline replacement product. Which do you have people have a name for it? Do you have a name for your landline replacement product?
It's snappily named Landline Plus.
Very, very.
Right. See what we've done there. Start a landline with a bit extra. Yeah.
What was the need to build this solution? And I assume this was an easier build for you than some other suppliers.
It's easy, wasn't it, Mark?
Because you're your own SIP supplier.
literally half an hour done.
Yeah.
But it's all in the SIP, really, isn't it? The landline replacement, because it's featureless. The thing that anyone that wants to sell a landline replacement product wants to sell it at volume. It's either there because they have a large WLR3 base that they need to convert, or it's there because they're pushing a broadband product and they're pushing it cheap and cheerful. They're knocking on doors on a high street, or it might even be in a resi space. So because of that, the product has to be very, very easily provisioned and has to be relied upon 9 times out of 10 via API. Because a lot of the times resellers want to bring them orders in from, I keep going back to a digital journey, but it could be from a CRM where an order's come in.
Yep.
So do you have those capabilities?
Yes, yeah. Zero touch, we call it basically. So it's a low margin product from our point of view, but it is zero touch. So if we've made it, as Paul says, for butchers, bakers and candlestick makers. Yeah. It's the customer that doesn't really give you a massive ROI if you pop in and see them. Yeah,
100%.
But you need to do something about them, basically.
You do.
So this product's in there just for that.
And it's probably a massively underserved part of the market, because everyone's like, operationally, that cost me loads to go and see them. Quite often a headache, because they're like, if that goes off.
Yeah, and I think it's because the reseller's looking at it in the wrong way. It's not going out to have a conversation. If they're there and they've got an FTTC connection with a PSTN single line still sat there, then build yourself out some sort of sales cadence or communication where that you're informing that customer within the next 90 days, we're going to be migrating your service. You shouldn't be giving them a choice. You should be saying, this technology is dying out, so we are switching you. Yeah. Is there a benefit to you? It's irrelevant. We are the supplier and we need to switch you off. And it does give you an opportunity then if you wanted to go and sell them and say, right, you need 2 hosting seats and everything else. But, being more firm within that.
I think about being more educational as well, because I think that there's a lot of misconceptions about what the switch off is, what's happening, when it's happening. So I think that's on us as a channel to provide that.
We should probably explain what Landline Plus is then. So And you can do it, right? So it's a product that goes into, it can be configured into an ATA or whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Correct.
Let's give those an overview of exactly what.
Yeah, so when you come onto the portal, you can literally go onto the Landline Plus section. You can select an IP decked phone. You can select an ATA. You can select a router and a Sagia at the same time if you want to. But yeah, those two products. It comes with a 500-minute bundle, voicemail on the other end.
And then if the resellers come across to you and they've already got all of the routers, they've already got existing routers out there that come with a voice port. You know, they were planning ahead. For
We've had this, yeah, but because it's quite common that, in fact,
yeah, we can do a soft provide basically.
Yeah.
So it's literally bang API in, API out, or you can just go in and just tick a box. Certain resellers have got access to this area.
Yeah,
it just gives them a username and password on the bundle.
If you've got a TR69 server, is that
CWMP, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Then you have like mass management to all of your estate and the routers, and you can
Yeah.
provision those voice ports.
Yes, yeah.
By the way, look at you.
Honestly.
Look at you go.
Honestly.
Do you want a job?
All right.
Get me coding.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Okay, that's good. That's good. It's a product that is huge within the residential space, and from my residential past, there was limited companies that could provide a landline replacement product that was API heavy. Some suppliers had built it, focused on the Soho space, and then forgot about that part and just thought they were going to be manual. So it's good to know that. I know you don't service the resi space, but it's interesting to hear. All right, cool. And then another part is then, so obviously for anybody ordering a new service when they're going in, if you are that XLN type or you are that high street Soho supplier, what happens if they want to provide a Sogia with a voice connection? They want to be future-proof. They want to be Landline Plus. Is that something that's just easily, again, done in the portal?
Yes, part of the portal journey is you can order it alongside a Sagia circuit, FTTP circuit,
Tick
or
box
whatever.
exercise.
Yeah, tick box, off you go.
And then can you provide the router as well?
Yeah.
And then it'll be a voice port back of the router that comes pre-configured,
We
or
can
do you
either
provide?
do a voice port, or we can provide a decked handset or whatever for it.
Of course, yeah, because it doesn't always have to go on a traditional landline. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I prefer a decked handset over it.
course.
'Cause obviously, you can then put the router in the corner in the cupboard and then have the handset.
100%. And then what's porting like for you guys? Well, we are in the worst. Our industry, you said it earlier, like how we've gone so wrong over the years of putting in this process of what is porting. So if you're your own SIP supplier, do you know if we're in conversations of changing that process, or is everything's going to happen in our industry?
It is moving forward, but frustratingly slow. I actually spent last Friday.
Glacial speed.
Yeah. I actually spent last Friday looking at our one of our bots, because we've got a porting bot which sits there and reads. So we in the industry, we pass stuff on Excel spreadsheets.
Yeah,
absolutely
nuts.
amazing technology, Excel. So we have a bot that sits there and reads the Excel spreadsheet. And one of our biggest problem is dates. People type in dates, year first, month first, day first. So year, month, day. The amount of different date combinations we have in this platform is unbelievable. So I had to write some code to go through and start passing the date through to actually get the date into some kind of usable format.
Interesting.
But I'm even finding we've got A's in there as well, characters in these dates. So it's silly little things like that causes issues. So what we do is effectively 90% of our ports that come in and out are botted.
Nice.
And then we have an exception list. And then the exception list, someone's manually looking at it and going, well, actually, this shouldn't be 2036, because quite clearly the customer wants to port it earlier.
Yeah.
So therefore it's a typo in the date field or something.
And what's the crack with rejections when it comes to suppliers if you've got the address wrong, right? So you are your own SIP supplier, and you're the first SIP supplier I've had on the podcast. So if I send a port request and I got something very small wrong in the address, is it the actual receiver saying to you, actually, you got a digit wrong, I'm not going to port your number? Is that something you guys do as well to have a supplier? Like, you all hate each other and just reject for no reason?
It's getting better, I must
It
admit.
used to be really bad for that, Johnny, about
Yeah.
hating each other, because you'd be like, no, we haven't got a porting agreement with them because we don't like them.
Yeah.
We have within the industry, obviously, there's certain providers you can go to and say, look, can you help me out here? This is junk, but it is getting a lot better.
Fine.
There's a lot of
Is that manual? Is it just like, I'm going to send this supplier an email like, hi, Joe, please help me out. This one's gone a bit wrong.
yeah, some of
There is
them
no-
manual, some of them just a phone call saying, hi, I know I should do this process. Can you just help me out here? What should I
Yeah.
put on here?
Yeah.
We get a lot of rejects come down, but it's the way that effectively the old traditional TDM network was built with regards to switches. So you've got like multi-line, for example, single line ports and everything, where you can only take a group of numbers together because they're reliant upon each other because of the way they were built on the switches. There weren't enough switch digits, so the provider built them differently, sort of thing. So they've got associated numbers with them and everything else. You got single numbers coming through, also on different products and everything. Then you got companies coming in that sort of 10 years old and have sort of gathered phone numbers from 5 different suppliers on the way, and then want the whole lot going live at 11 o'clock in the morning on a certain date, and they just don't understand. No, that's not possible because of it's not going to happen. So we try our best. We try and put features into our sort of systems. We run automatic number checking, so when the port comes in, we go through and we test the porting. We've recently discovered that we need to test in different areas. So we actually dug out an ISDN line. I found an ISDN line in the office the other day, still lit, an ISDN 2E line, still lit. So we went through the old junk cupboard, found an old pattern gateway, plugged it together, and got one of my voice developers to write some code quickly so we can actually check to see if numbers are ported via ISDN. So we effectively create a loop on our network. We run on our enum platform, we drop the number into a...
You've started him off now. What have you done? What have you done?
we drop the number into a quarantine, then we effectively loop a call through just to prove that we're seeing it looped all the way onto our network. So make it easy for our resellers, because there's nothing worse than this number doesn't connect properly, this number doesn't route from, I don't know, a certain mobile network or whatever. So we try and automate the whole process, and that'll be available in the portal soon as well. So you can see all the different providers, and it should go green, 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 and you know the number's successfully ported. But the amount of times we see when a number's half ported at the moment is.
It's this is the type of this is what I was trying to get out of you earlier. It's this type of stuff, this being able to, here's the business owner faffing about with an ISDN card to try and make something better.
But that's the difference, isn't it?
Yeah,
and
this is my point.
Why, it's good.
It's mint.
Good. Yeah.
It's mint. Like that gives you your giant USP.
Yeah.
Right, so we've spent 45 minutes on the Fibrenews podcast talking about voice. So obviously you don't just do voice services, you are growing very quickly on the connectivity element as well.
Yes.
And every reseller that comes to a new supplier, they're going to want to or expect you to have some level of connectivity. Ethernet first, no doubt, but if you do broadband, that's the benefit as well. So
correct, yeah. And
we tick that box.
Yeah, we do both. We do both. Let's just get that out there. But no, I think Ethernet. We've got sort of all of the normal providers, or all of the big guns, all interconnected with us at layer 2. So and again, being really commercially aggressive on those. As well, so that drives volume. So that's what we're looking to do. But I think again, points of differentiation is having the altnets on there as well. So widening people's, all their availability with people like Vorbos, City Fibre, City Fibre, ITS.
Yeah.
So when you talk about Ethernet, they're all in there. I think Vorbos is probably they were one of the first altnets that we added in. But they're fantastic, those guys, because if you want connectivity in London and you want it quick, they can deliver
and cheap.
100 gig central London,
that's absolutely nuts.
Which you think no one's ever going to take that. And then we had we had an AI company come into central London through a dealer, and literally he was like, we want 2 of these, and I was like, you want two what? But and failure. So it's just that demand for bandwidth. And then you spill down to the sort of broadband, and actually it's probably worth saying, isn't it? You look at your Ethernet numbers and you want to grow those, but actually I think we're just going to see FTTP grow.
I agree with you, because
we're a nationally appointed provider for City Fibre, so I think we were only the 4th one of those in the UK. BT, we've got their whole suite of products, FTTP and Sagia, and then ITS as well. And it's probably worth a mention with ITS. Our volume with people like ITS is massively going up because they're being super aggressive in the market, especially in London. They've just gone absolutely nuts.
And look, resellers will favour FTTP, right? There's 2 flavours of Ethernet. It's the companies that know they need a lease line and they want a lease line, or it's we're stuck without any infrastructure, we've had to have a lease line in. And some of those companies have had it for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. It's come cheaper down the line, but it's never as cheap as an FTTP. For now, a reseller can go to a customer and say, oh, thank God for that. There's a full fibre available. I don't have to go and try and sell you this £300 a month product. My most important thing is my voice product. I couldn't give a shit about the lease line, to be honest with you. For them, they're loving it. The more full fibre infrastructure that gets laid out, the better for the reseller. Not for Ethernet suppliers.
We did an exercise though. Again, I think it was margin, and we looked at what a lease line would have cost you 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably, it's not a struggle for a reseller, but it's something they're having to factor in now.
Yeah.
Whereas a circuit, might have been costing you a grand a month 5 years ago. Well, now they can buy it for £33 a month.
Yeah, it's nuts.
And that's scary, isn't it?
It's nuts, right? And Leaseline has a bit of a shivery image in anyone's head, right? Where like Leaseline to anyone within a channel means long delays, like it could be ECCs, it could be that. Well, it's a lot better now, right? Because there's so many new networks, and if it's on there, they these altnets get it in within days, and they don't faff about with their internal engineers. But an FTTP just gives you that more comfort, like, oh, I know it's going to go in on that day. Then I can get my voice services, I can start billing, I can get my commission, so it's happy days, right? So, right, okay. Is there anything I haven't asked you that you think's worth talking about to our audience?
I think, well, going on from the broadband and the Ethernet, obviously the voice network's on the other end of the cable. So the advantage of a reseller using us for Ethernet, although the pricing is unbelievably good, on the other end of that fibre is our voice network. So the hop is one hop, bang, voice network.
Interesting.
And then you're out to the internet. So where if you're using a third-party provider, you've got the internet in between.
Yes.
So you've got one neck to throttle. It's what I like with my support team. So if there's a problem somewhere, it's going to be our problem or the customer's problem.
Yeah.
So we will go through and we'll look at, obviously we stat everything we've got. So everything is logged. So we can look through. So if someone's coming in with call quality issues, we can then see on the BMGs or the LNSs, effectively on the end of our end of the broadband connection, what the call quality is like, and we can obviously do packet dumps, and then we can obviously try and look at the customer's equipment as well, and obviously do packet dumps off that as well, and actually compare the ends and actually get to the. There's nothing more frustrating than being told, "Oh no, it's someone else's problem. It's someone else's problem. It's someone else's problem." And you're running around,
100%,
trying to find someone
going
just to
back and
take
forth between
ownership
suppliers,
of the problem, when actually, okay, if it's our products, it's our problem.
Yeah, 100%. And you must have done something right on the support side to initially just get up to 600 dealers, let alone going to the wholesalers. Because sometimes dealers can be worse, right? They're really attached to that monthly commission. And even though you're billing it, they're still going to be getting the call because they're doing the IT, and they're going to hate you for it if something goes wrong.
I'm not saying every dealer that started with us is still with us.
Of course.
But yeah, we have very good dealers out there. They're very good, and we know some of them are great, some of them are fantastic.
Awesome. Well, I would have said it in my intro anyway, but if anybody wants to reach out to one of the fastest growing wholesalers in our market, then their details will be in the body of the description. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks, Johnny.
Thank you very much.
Good to
Johnny.
see you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
We didn't even mention the owl.
No, we didn't now, did we? Yeah.